Okay. So our presenters will be presenting on the role of religion in political tolerance or intolerance. Just a few things to say about religion. Myself being schooled in the Roman classics and ancient religion, and of course later on in religious studies, the Romans worshipped their God with the two faces. And in English, they would say if you are said to be Janus-faced, it means you are a person with the two faces. You can present a type of a face at any given time that is convenient to you. So, religion is like that God with the two faces. It has the potential for violence. And if you can recall, the attack at the Twin Towers in the USA had religious underpinnings. And of recent, even the war in the Sudan, if you do a little bit of research on that war, you will find that there's a religious dimension to it. Not mentioning so many wars in which religion has been a factor. More interesting, without wasting time here, if numbers of, say, Christians or Muslims increase in a particular country, that is bearing on lots of things, including legislation. And the increase in figures is also bearing on the political as well as on the economy of any given country. So religion is Janus-faced. It has also the potential to bring about peace. In the process of the transition of Africa in the 1980s, many leaders of churches presided over the transitional governments from Benin to Togo because they wanted to make sure that there's peace in the country. So with me here are the presenters, Reverend Imingu of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches. He's the Secretary General of the Zimbabwe Council of Churches, and will give his views on this matter. And then we have Mr. Chimedza. He will also give his views, and A.D. Basaka. So, I don't know, maybe if we could start with you.
Thank you very much. Good evening, good afternoon, everybody. You see what happens if you are fed and your stomach is full? You start losing track of time and proceedings. But that's just a reflection of the courtesy of the team that is hosting us here. Without wasting much of your time, I will go straight into the elements of what constitutes my presentation, whose topic has already been shared. But for the avoidance of doubt, I can just quickly refer to what the topic touches on, and I touch on a few things. It says Kenyan and Zimbabwean media framing the role of religion. Generally, I think I do not want to complicate this presentation with jargon and scholarly definitions of concepts, but I will unpack it in the simplest possible way with the view of being able to have common ground in the assessment of the elements of the topic in question. we are looking at religion. I might just give general definitions for politics, religion, and tolerance, but most of these have already been touched on. True to my word, I will keep it simple. Politics refers to the activities associated with the governance of a country or area, especially the debate between the parties having power or having interest in power. It also refers to activities aimed at improving someone's status or increasing power within an organization or an entity. So politics predominantly has something to do with power and the desire for it, to have it, acquire it, and sustain it. Religion refers generally to the belief in and worship of a superhuman power or powers, especially God or gods. It also refers to a particular system of faith and worship. Tolerance is basically the ability or willingness to tolerate the existence of opinions or behaviors that one dislikes or disagrees with. But we're looking at framing the role of religion. Framing the role of religion. And we'll touch very quickly now, in moments, what framing is. But we are looking at understanding the distinction between framing religion itself, which is something that can be quite challenging. Framing religion itself, we're juxtaposing that to framing the role of religion. So the topic here is looking at framing the role of religion. Framing religion is something totally different. So I will quickly touch on what the framing theory says, which was proposed by Gregory Bateson. It says that framing may be defined as a process in which specific parts of reality are picked and given more emphasis or importance. So in regards to media, framing represents the manner in which media packages and displays information to the general public. And of course, according to that hypothesis, the media emphasizes some occurrences and then frames them in a specific way in order to support or discourage certain views. So in light of the time, I don't want to be going on and on. What I thought would be an important contribution to this discussion is that within the Zimbabwean context, within our understanding and appreciation of our own religion, in all its forms of diversity, it's important to accept, appreciate, and acknowledge that when we say religion, we are not necessarily confining ourselves to Christianity, nor are we disregarding African traditional religion, because that is religion. The norm has been over the years, coupled with brainwashing or effects of what others were calling globalization or colonialism. The norm has been over the years to take a tendency that demonizes and rubbishes anything to do with African culture and everything to do with African religion. So when we're saying framing the role of religion, what are we saying? Because this is something food for thought. So what are the tools or instruments that we can use, before I wrap up my contribution, what are the tools and instruments we can use to attempt to frame the role of religion? So one would ask, when you were framing religion, when we're framing the role of religion, we are framing it according to whose perspective? Who has the power to frame or otherwise dictate the role or what they want religion to, what role they want religion to play? Is it the country? Is it the government? Is it political parties? Is there room of bastardizing religion through what we'll be claiming to say it's a framing process? Is it possible that we can corrupt religion? Can we corrupt religion? What are these frames? So, without taking much of your time, these are the angles within which we are looking at and attending to the discussion, framing the role of religion and what it means, the consequences, the repercussions, whether it's and how it's going to be done and who's going to be doing, and are there measures which we can then take to say, oh, now we have managed to frame the role of religion and we are okay. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Without wasting time, I give this opportunity to Reverend Mungu.
Thank you, Dr. Zivo. All protocol observed. In the interest of time, I'll share what I believe is critical in this conversation. In as much as we should understand that religion speaks to a number of faiths. Thank you. I'm going to briefly share with you my thoughts about the role of religion in political tolerance or intolerance. What is important is that we cannot talk about religion in political tolerance without talking about the role of religion in the public sphere. What role does religion play in the public sphere? In Zimbabwe, it is important to note that religion has played a very important role, both Tiara and Christianity, and to a lesser extent Islam and other religions. It is also important to note that from the beginning, we need to appreciate that when we talk about, I'll be using church and religion interchangeably, that is Christianity, considering where I come from. We can talk about separating church and state, or religion and state, but we cannot separate religion and politics. That is something that we cannot separate. Therefore, when I try to define political tolerance in this context, I understand it as the willingness to extend basic rights and civil liberties to persons and organizations whose viewpoints differ from one's own, and it's a central tenet of liberal democracy. Political tolerance also means accepting and respecting the basic rights and civil liberties of persons and groups whose viewpoints differ from one's viewpoint. It is therefore critical for us to know that political intolerance is endangered by a willingness to restrict the rights of a disliked person or a group of people based on their differing views. The protection of individuals' rights, including those of individuals we dislike or with whom we strongly disagree, has often been a struggle in our society. And taking a tolerant stance is one of the most difficult tasks citizens face in our societies. So when we speak about political tolerance, it's something that speaks to the issues of rights and liberties that are accorded to other people, and which we should also respect. Voltaire's timeless dictum when he was writing in defense of free speech, he says, "I disagree with what you say, but I will defend to the death. I will defend to death your right to say it." Elegantly, he states the prerequisite of tolerance in a functioning society. That in as much as we may differ, but in our differences, we should prepare to defend each other's rights to say what they believe is what's supposed to be said. Therefore, what is the role of religion in this whole sense? Religion, just like media, influences and shapes the society. It is often engaged in influencing the beliefs and values that individuals hold. The separation between church and state, as I say, does not mean that religion and politics should be separated. Historically, religion has been part of the political processes in Zimbabwe, coming closer home. And coming from the missionary religions, they brought in another dimensions to the role of religion in the public sphere in our nation. It is important to note that when Christianity came to Zimbabwe and other parts of Africa, it was used as it was used politically to subjugate Africans. Therefore, as was alluded to by the moderator, religion has been viewed as a double-edged sword that can perpetuate both tolerance and intolerance. But religion in Zimbabwe, Christianity to be specific, played a crucial role in political processes of Zimbabwe, particularly fighting against political intolerance. This became more prominent in the early 1960s, culminating in the restructuring of the formation of a strong Christian council in 1964 that stood firmly and strongly against political intolerance, and at the same time accompanying the African nationalists who were fighting for the same cause to the time the country attained independence in 1980. This historical background gives us a glimpse of the role of the church in political tolerance. Religion, therefore, equipped with both the historical, theological, and a mandate, that is theological mandate, can fight intolerance and advocate for tolerance. One of the major roles of religion is to educate and teach about political tolerance, promoting a tolerant society and exercising its prophetic role in advocating for political tolerance, that is speaking truth to power. Developing a culture of tolerance is a long-term undertaking that removes the roots of intolerance and is necessary for the democratic processes. Some of the key ingredients of culture of tolerance are religion, education, and media. That's where media comes into play, because the church or religion has got the message and the tools and the voice to promote peace, to promote tolerance, while the media has got the means to transmit it. One scholar, Karl Popper, a philosopher, a British philosopher, says, we should therefore claim in the name of tolerance that the right not to tolerate the intolerant. We should claim that any movement preaching intolerance places itself outside the law, and we should consider incitement to intolerance and persecution as criminal. So as I end, I just want to be a tragedy if I don't give a biblical reference. As the minister of religion, in the Gospel of Matthew chapter 14, there's a story of Herod. When one of his young daughters danced during a party, and the mother instigated to request for John's head. John was in prison because he had just told Herod that you should not take your brother's wife. And Herod could not take that. He was very intolerant. And at the end, Herod had to be beheaded. And to make matters worse, the people who were in the party never asked anything. The music continued. People continued to dance, and nobody dared to ask why Herod's head was in a plate. It was a society that was full of intolerance, and people had embraced it as the norm. But we are saying, as religion, religion has got a role to play. It can assist in promoting intolerance in as much as, to a certain extent, there are elements of intolerance in the religious discourse. I think for now, I'll end here.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Bimungu. Now it is time for Mr. Basaka to give us what you have.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Andras Dave Bakasa, foreign journalist working with Greater Life Publishers as programs officer. We are working with religion, with the Christian focus. We are covering stories to do with churches, religion, what churches is doing to better our communities. So regarding the topic framing religion in political tolerance and intolerance, I shall not touch some of the things which have been touched already. So I shall start on the framing, which means the act, the process or manner of constructing anything. That is the act of providing with a frame or a system of frames. In this context, we are putting religion at a glance or figure to figure out how exactly does it work in relation with national politics. When we talk about politics, religion plays a very crucial role in promoting diverse views and opinions in politics. So I can start to outline some roles that religion are playing and that some religion are playing in contributing to national politics, henceforth highlighting some of the steps that have been taken so far with religious bodies ahead of 2023 harmonized elections. So given Zimbabwe's diversity of ethnic, religious, national, political and social background, peace and stability would be unthinkable without some degree of tolerance to those who are different. On some fronts, the country has struggled with intolerance. One example is political intolerance played out in inter- and intra-party conflict, turning neighbors against each other. So I shall speak on three perspectives. That is, first, religion in preaching the word of peace and tolerance. Religious leaders should utilize, and others are utilizing pathways to peace and reconciliation, to non-confrontational approaches such as empathy, pacifism,
embraced it as the norm. But we are saying as religion, religion has got a role to play. It can assist in promoting intolerance in as much as, to a certain extent, there are elements of intolerance in the religious discourse. I think for now, I'll end here.
Okay, thank you very much, Reverend Bimungu. Now it is time for Mr. Basaka to give us his hand.
Hello, hi everyone. I'm Andras Dave Bakasa, foreign journalist working with Greater Light Publishers as programs officer. We are working with religion with a Christian focus. We are covering stories to do with churches, religion, what churches is doing to better our communities. So regarding the topic framing religion in political tolerance and intolerance, I shall not touch some of the things which have been touched already. So I shall start on the framing, which means the act, the process or manner of constructing anything that is the act of providing with a frame or a system of frames. In this context, we are putting religion at a glance or figure to figure out how exactly does it work in relation with national politics. When we talk about politics, religion plays a very crucial role in promoting diverse views and opinions in politics. So I can start to outline some roles that religion are playing and that some religion are playing in contributing to national politics, henceforth highlighting some of the steps that have been taken so far with religious bodies ahead of 2023 harmonized elections. So given Zimbabwe's diversity of ethnic, religious, national, political, and social background, peace and stability would be unthinkable without some degree of tolerance to those who are different. On some fronts, the country has struggled with intolerance. One example is political intolerance played out in inter- and intra-party conflict, turning neighbors against each other. So I shall speak on three perspectives. That is, first, religion in preaching the way of peace and tolerance. Religious leaders should utilize, and others are utilizing pathways to peace and reconciliation, to non-confrontational approaches such as empathy, pacifism, prayer, meditation, love, repentance, companionship, apology, and forgiveness. So in the case of Zimbabwe, church bodies in Zimbabwe and church organizations, other various religions, have already began preaching the way of political tolerance, peace, unity, love, despite their political affiliation. So, for example, we have Zimbabwe Christian Alliance, which has called for political tolerance ahead of 2023 election polls, which they emphasized early this year during peace building and political tolerance of Asaki, an online program. Second, religion in encouraging citizens to participate in national politics. Religion has a crucial role to play in mobilizing and encouraging citizens to take part in national building, national events, and politics. So far, a notable number of initiatives has been done so far by the church in Zimbabwe, including Zimbabwe Council of Churches, through the launch of I Pray, I Vote, and Zimbabwe Ministers Association. We gave them a thumbs up as last month for approaching the Parliament of Zimbabwe, wanting to know the law process making, as well as they were saying we are leading to contribute to the national development and national agendas. And thirdly, religion in the national development, which the church has also an obligation to encourage citizens to participate in dialogues of national interest, which include healthy education and infrastructures, amongst others. I shall end here.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sure all our panelists have presented their views. And we are open, I think, to questions. It's time now to take the questions. But before we do that, I'll abuse a little bit the privilege that I was given here. To the first presenter, so what should be done about the framing issue? How should we place religion on this issue of tolerance or intolerance? Think about it. And to Reverend Domingo, if churches can't sit eye to eye at times, perhaps on dogmatic issues, you know churches differ very much in that area. How can the churches then guarantee peace and order in a given country? Think about that, Reverend Domingo. And to the last presenter, my friend there, yes, you've highlighted a lot of what the churches can do, or religion can do to promote peace. But you know that dialectics are part of life. The contradictions themselves, they are part of life. So how do you deal with the contradictions of religion when it comes to issue of tolerance or intolerance? So it's open, ladies and gentlemen. Questions?
Afternoon. My name is Michael Chikwa. From the presentations that have been made from the panelists, they are all from a Christian perspective. But then when we look here in Zimbabwe, we've got the African religion. From the independence of our country, people always refer to their ancestors, even the Banya and the Sekrukagoy. So my question is, how then do we link the Christian perspective to peace, and then the contribution of art also to peace and in political tolerance? Because of late, it seems when political leaders want to engage to the larger voter community, they are using the church. That would be my second question. Is the church not supposed to be apolitical, whereby despite of any political affiliation that I have, if I'm a member of this church, it doesn't matter which political affiliation I have. But of late, we see political leaders or religious leaders say we vote for this or we are aligned to this. So then, how then do we balance? Because when Jesus was here on earth, he was neither political. His message was, I've just come to heal the brokenhearted. Even John the Baptist that you mentioned, he asked, is this Jesus? And his message was very simple. The blind see. The blind see, the dead are risen, and the lame can walk. So are we not finding our church, the church, our religion, not really standing true to its core, or they're already now mixed, or we've got politicians who are now masquerading as church leaders or representing religion? That's my question. Thank you.
I see a hand in the front.
Someone.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My question goes to all the panelists. There's been so much bastardization of African religion, especially from the Christian fraternity. How then is the Christian fraternity going to build that atmosphere for tolerance in our political economy, when even the preachings themselves from the videos that we watch of prophets and etc., people who practice ATR are called to be demonic. They are called all sorts of names. I speak so passionately about this because I believe in my Africanness. I actually practice ATR, and we are always shunned wherever we go. We are called all sorts of names. And I think this has to start from the religious leaders themselves. And even to the organizers of this event, you had the religious panel, but you did not have anyone from ATR. And this we always find in every platform that we go, where people are discussing things. The ATR is always alienated. We should always remember that we are Africans first, before we got to any other religion that we went to. Thank you. Any more questions? I see.
Yes, there's a person in Syria.
To President of Zimbabwe in July 2023. My question is this. When we have differences between political parties in Zimbabwe, let's say, or Kenya, whether it's differences between the political parties or the leaders of the political parties, or the differences between any persons in those countries of which are of political nature, what is the role of the religions in Kenya, in Zimbabwe now, and what should the role be in the future, just to make life much easier for us politicians? Thank you.
Zita rangu ndinoitwa Tinashe Muchuri, ndingori womunhu. Mubvunzo chokutanga hausi mubvunzo asi ndichida kunzwa kutaura panga pachitaura Dr. Tiningo. Vachitaura nyaya yemusoro waHerode mundiro. Saka vanga vachitora social media kana kuti vanogona kuzoposta tobva taenda kumba tichiziva nyaya yekuti musoro waHerode ndiwo wakazoiswa mundiro kwete waJona. Zvichida chiramendora vamhanyisa. Chechipiri ndechekuti icho tanzwa nyaya yekuti Kristu chakabata basa guru chaizvo uye chinobata basa guru zvikuru. Asi tinobona isusu kuti muchiKristu imomo kana kuti mumaKristu imomo munotemanwa necheya, muchiroranwa zvibhakera, muchibhutsuranwa nebhutsu, muchimbamuranwa muchiKristu imomo. Saka kana ivo pachezvavo vachibvisana, vanogozogona kuisa runyararo nerudo netsitsi nemutsa kunyika yose kana kune avo vematonga nyika vagara vachitokonana kana kupesana pachezvavo chirudzii. Tikadawo kuziva ipapo. Ndatenda.
Okay, one last hand. I see a hand there.
Okay, so my question was mainly directed to the last presenter. You talked about how religion takes part in national building, and it is, to my understanding and to most of the current status quo, that we have certain religious spectrums that do not pay heed to the national constitution. Hence, what exactly is the nation or those around who are responsible, the responsible authorities rather, doing to ensure that they eradicate those mishappenings? Because we have the issues of child marriages since forever, and the constitution says they shouldn't happen, but then they keep on happening. And we have also the issue of religious leaders participating in encouraging their subjects, or rather church fellows, to be more inclined to a certain political spectrum than the other. So how exactly is the nation or the Zimbabwe Church Council something really making sure that they eradicate these problems to ensure that there is political involvement and political tolerance and peace throughout the nation? Thank you.
I'm sure that's it. Any more questions? No? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the presence, ladies and gentlemen. To the panelists, you can answer. Maybe let's begin from my friend there.
All right. Starting with the last question. Is to eradicate, to alleviate child marriages which happen in various communities, and as said, to be rooted in church. With us as a publicity in trying to unravel, to disseminate what is actually causing these things. Because when you approach other churches and other organizations, they will say, but it's not within our churches. Even if you hear when you approach them in trying to write, they will even tell you absolutely mono. But then we said, no, let us seek advice from other church organizations who are already lobbying to have a seat in parliament, a church seat. So we approached the Zimbabwe Christian Ministers Association, and they said it's the duty of citizens as well to come up front, to lobby with them, to have measures intensified or to enforce lawmakers to put law in order to if someone are underage or without approaching a church board or a church pastor, but it should be a law coming from a parliament constitution backed up with the church organizations.
Yes, thank you. I'll try to respond to a few, to my brother there. It was a slipper of the tongue about the head of the road. What is critical is someone's head wasn't. The road is head is unacceptable. Intolerance should be practiced. Well, on the issue of politicians being given the pulpit in some of our churches, it's a tragedy. One presenter in the morning speaking about journalism said people are saying journalism has gone to the dogs, but the dogs have actually gone to journalism. And the same applies to the church. The dogs are also in the church. They are coming.
Amen.
They are coming to the church. And one of the things that they've realized is the power of masses and the power of influence that the church has. So politicians manipulate and they capitalize on crowds. And the challenge that we have in our country is that these churches that are opening their pulpits for politicians, it's actually the pastors, individuals, not the institution. But the position of the church as an institution is that the church should not go to bed with politicians. Because the church, like I earlier on said, has got a role to be prophetic, to have a prophetic role to speak truth to power. And that has been the role of the church from the time immemorial. So for us to speak to this issue, it's an issue of abuse of the church by the politicians who are abusing. And also the problem that we have got so many churches in courts. Anyone can stand up today and say, I've got my own church. You hear there are so many formations. We've got pastors for ED, all those people. And as a council, when we try to address those things, individuals will say, have you ever heard of a church for ED? It's a pastor for ED because it's my individual belief that I have to support ED. Therefore, I'm my pastor for ED, but the church is not for ED. So this is what is happening. But what is more critical for us to understand, this is the issue of poverty. These people are getting money from the politicians as individuals because of the poverty that is characterizing our economy. So it's a tragedy. It's unacceptable for the church. As the church as an institution, our position will never change. That will never be a political, and we will never support any political party, but continue to speak truth to power. And there is a question of the role of the religion today. The role of religion, from where I come from, is to, like I said, to speak truth to power, to preach peace, to preach love, and to ensure that we cultivate a culture of tolerance whereby each person's point of view is respected and accepted. Therefore, as the role of the church in the context that we are in now, with the challenges that we are facing, is to ensure that we promote peace, we promote love, even between those people who support different political parties. And we accept each person's point of view, regardless of where the person is coming from, whether it's ZANU-PF or Triple C. Well, what we need to do is to give that person a role and to give that person an ear to what that person is going to say, because everybody has got a right to participate in political processes. Everybody has got a right to choose a political party that he wants to support. Everybody has got a right to to form a political party after all, because in Zimbabwe it appears it's a crime to have a political party. It's either a ZANU-PF or CCC, because already ZANU-PF has monopolized the ruling space, and CCC is now monopolizing the opposition space. If anyone stands up and say, I'm forming my own party, you know that you are now an enemy to CCC, as if it owns the opposition space. And as a church, we are saying, we need a country where everyone is accepted and everyone's got a right. Because when you look at it, some people have monopolized these rights and this tolerance kind of thing. When you are in ZANU-PF, they say we need to be tolerated. But when a person from an opposition political party says something, they will not tolerate that. They will say, this is against the tenets of the liberation struggle. We will not tolerate this. So tolerance now has got a meaning depending on where one stands. But as a church, we are saying tolerance should be given to everyone, regardless of race, regardless of color, regardless of political affiliation. Therefore, the role of the church is to, the role of religion, she's correcting me, considering where she's coming from, but pardon me, I'm a minister I'm a pastor. So what we are saying is that the role of religion is to ensure that we have got a conducive environment where everyone is equal. No one is above anyone. No one is greater than anyone, but we are all equal, and we should participate and enjoy the rights that in our country, in our country equally. So I think for now I'll end here and leave the rest for others.
Nyaya iyi inonakidzira chinhu chimwe chete pakuti as much as I want to free myself ndotanga kutaura nevernacular, I'm also concerned kuti within the crowd we might have some who might not really understand it. But the irony of it, tikutaura nenyaya yehunhu hwedu, African traditional religion, for example, asi tikutaura nechirungu muno, handisi kuona kana munhu mumwe ari muno. So this is something which must be corrected and reformed at policy level. At policy level. Mukatarisa, if you look even in schools, efforts were made previously by the government to try to revise the curricula, and so on. But we don't have subjects that teach on African traditional religion. But in the Bible studies, in divinity, in RME, we've got various other facets in the educational institutions that teach our children about these religions, which exclude ATR. ATR is only referred to very shallowly, even in the constitution. Recognize our religions. So if it's a question of what should be done, the leadership or the government or the policymakers should cause the nation these things in schools, whether compulsorily or by some other means, but that ensures that our children grasp the particular tenets regarding our identity and obviously subsequently our religion. I also wanted to add quickly before I give back the mic, Kuti, it's very technical. It's difficult, as much as we do not want politics to corrode and corrupt religion. Religion kwacho haugoni kudzinga president vakauya muchechi kuti budai muno nokuti muri president. Religion yacho haibvumiri izvozvo. We embrace everyone. You understand? You can't say, this is the leader of a certain, get out of the church now. No, you welcome everybody, isn't it? You welcome everybody. So where do you then draw the line? So be cognizant of the delicacies that are involved in the interactions that we are speaking about. We can't chase anybody. Do you know that even if a Satanist came into your church, you're not supposed to chase them out? Maybe they've reformed, right? You preach to them, you pray with them, and then you lead them to Christ. So if you cannot chase a Satanist out of the church, what makes you think you should chase an ordinary person, a political leader or a political activist out of the church for fear of corruption of that religion? So there are very delicate issues that we should always bear in mind when we talk about these things. Thank you very much.
there was a question on ATR and Christianity shunning away other religions. There are efforts by the religions in this country to come together and embrace diversity. We recently launched the Inter-Religious Council of Zimbabwe, where we sit together with ATR practitioners, Muslims. We have got some those who faith healers in the ATR. We come together on issues of national interest because we believe that no religion has got is more superior than the other. Institutionally, when we sit, we accord each other. We still have a problem, if I may say, because we've got some churches who would say, I can't sit in the same room with these people, and we are still trying to educate them that we need to be tolerant. The fact that this person is in a tiara, this person is a Muslim, that does not mean that that person does not believe in God the same way you do. It's just the different roads, but we are going the same direction. So I just wanted to highlight that in Zimbabwe now we've got an inter-religious council which brings together people from different faiths to discuss issues of common interest. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm sure, ladies and gentlemen, you have enjoyed the discussions, and I'm sure it all ends here with our panel. Thank you very much.